I'm going to show how to put together the Rommy paper toy. I'm going to be working with this reference paper, not building an actual paper toy. First thing, I'm going to mostly use the little scissors, but for speed, sometimes I'm going to switch to the bigger scissors. So we will start with the head. First thing is to just cut the head away from everything else. You can set that aside. You're only going to work on the head first. Okay, so a couple things to notice about this is you can skip around. So I went back and kind of cleaned up some areas, took out things that I missed the first time. Not a big deal. Also, you need to cut really good up into these specific corners. When it comes to folding, you want to really separate this tab in the back of the head, this tab in the side of the head. Get really good around these tabs. Your goal is basically to not cut the black off, not to leave any white on, don't cut any color off. Your goal is to kind of split the black line right down the middle. So that is all the way cut. Next thing is folding. On the head, everything is going to fold down and under. There's nothing that's going to flip and fold up this way. Everything goes down. So folding. You can start anywhere. All the gray lines. What I normally do is I start by kind of curling it under, and then I'm going to slowly kind of press so that that gray line is running right here along that crease. Every little tab gets folded. If you are not folding on your gray line, the head's not going to come together properly, so make sure that you are folding right there along that line. Some of you may have a line here where the hair ends. That does need to get folded also. There was a gray line there that probably got covered up with pen. Notice sometimes I fold and I put things back to where they came from. Now it's going to be making this shape. I'm not going to hold it here. I kind of move things out of the way as I'm making creases. Okay, so this is all the way folded. I can look back over it, check every gray line, make sure there's a crease. All the tabs, the sides of the head, the back of the neck, the G tab. It should come together to make that little head with that rounded out cheek. So the head has been cut and folded and is now ready to be glued together. And before you add any glue, make sure these corners are cut and folded really nice. You should make these really good angles up here. And if you look and these are not completely unattached right here, you may need to go back and trim all the way up into these corners before you get started. Make sure your tabs are folded really good on those gray lines, because if they're folded off, it's not going to come together correctly. So we're going to start with the front of the face and go down either one side or the other, doesn't matter which side. And after the front's done, we're going to work on the back of the head. So when you open the glue, of course, twist and lift. There might be some dried glue on the cap, so you'll need to kind of scratch that off. And we're doing dots of glue. A thin layer of glue is going to dry a lot faster than a big puddle of glue. So very thin layers. And so I'm going to start here on one of the sides. The tabs with the stars, that's meaning to get glue. So I'm just going to put like 2 dots of glue on here and spread it out with the side of my cap across that whole tab, making that thin layer. And I'm going to go ahead and put glue on these 3 tabs that are next to that on the other side and spread that out. It's easier to get glue on them first. We're going to only hold 1 tab at a time, but it's easiest to get the glue on it now. So then I'm going to slide this 2-star tab here and press and hold it right here on the holding the left side of the head. So I'm going to hold up here in the corner and down here at the bottom. And what I'm holding is this tab right here to the inside of the head, pinching and holding from the inside and outside of the head. Count to about 15-20 seconds in your head. Then I'm going to go on to this first little tab here, this one right here next to the cheek. That's the first one of the cheek. Then I'm going to go to the mouth tab here, press and hold that. And then the chin tab's going to go under, holding that final tab. So 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs along the side of the head. And if this was my final draft, I would be taking my time holding all those in place before moving on so it doesn't pop back open. And then you're going to move on to the other side. Okay, so both sides of the face are done. I went down, starting at the corner, worked down the first tab, the second here that kind of angles forward, the flat mouth and the chin that goes under, and the other side first. And now I'm ready for the back of the head. There are 2 tabs, this longer 3-star tab and the shorter 1-star tab. So I'm going to put glue on both of those. Thin layer of glue, and I could go ahead and get glue on the other side as well. But again, you only hold 1 tab at a time. So the glue's on here, but I'm going to wait to hold it. So I'm going to do one side of the head first. Press and hold for several seconds, maybe 20 seconds in your head. And the little neck tab. And then the other side of the head. Okay, so this is finished, but you're not actually going to attach it on until the very end. It has a G tab. We're working in alphabetical order from A through G, so the G is the last letter. You'll move on to the rest, and before you glue anything, there's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F. The G to G is the last thing you do, so this will get set aside, and we're going to work on the rest of this. So now we're going to work on the front body and the back of the body with the arms and the name there on the bottom. So you can cut this away from the legs and the rest of the extensions. Set the legs and the extensions aside, and we're going to work on these 2 parts. I can separate them first and focus on just the front of the body, cutting this out. Now these 2 tabs here, you're going to have to trim. I would suggest trimming all the black off of these tabs. They need to be almost a little bit smaller than they're made to be. So I'm just going to trim them up really well. I'll cut this flat off. But you cannot leave any extra paper along the side of these 2 tabs. It's going to make it harder to glue the legs on. So if anything, cut that black paper off. Trim those legs, those right leg, left leg tabs up really tight. Then I'll cut out the arms and back. If you have anything on your fingers, if you're trying to cut out extra nails or something, then pay attention to that now. Or maybe you're trying to cut inside the space, you're going to go in and cut shapes out. Go ahead and pay attention to what you're doing for that. Go back and make sure all these little corners are cut out. And go around, check again if you're doing something different with your hands, check that out to make sure you have it cut the way you want it to look. All the rest of this will be trash. And it's time to fold. Now this time that you're folding, it's helpful to have a little ruler with you, a little 6-inch ruler, because unlike the head, not everything is going to get folded down. Now on the front body, this gray line is folded down. Same thing over here. This G tab that's going to glue the head on is folded down. And A and B, these 2 gray lines are folded down. But that's all the gray lines. These blacker lines, they're darker gray. I made them darker for a reason. That's because they're going to fold up. So what I do is I'm going to set my ruler. I'm right-handed. I guess it doesn't matter, whichever way is more comfortable to you. With me being right-handed, this seems easier, more natural. I'm going to hold the ruler right here along that gray line, and I'm going to lift this tab up. And same thing here. this tab is going to fold up. So rather than down and away, it is going to lift up towards you. So that is the front of the body. With the back of the body, the arms and the bottom, you have light gray and dark gray lines. Lighter gray lines would be the between the name and the back. You also have a lighter gray line here along the arm and right here along the arm. But then they're going to be darker gray here, here, and the hand. So same thing, it goes dark gray, light gray, dark, and a dark gray hand. The dark gray means that things are going to fold up towards you. Light gray means it goes down and away. So the bottom here is light gray. That means you fold it down. I also have a light gray here that gets folded down. And light gray. The darker gray are between the back and the arm. So I'm going to put my ruler along that dark gray line, pull it up towards me this way, so up, not down. The hand is up, and this left tab here is also up. So that makes one arm. So up, down, down, up, and the hand is up. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. And now I'm going to glue the front body and back body together. Now look over, make sure you fold all your tabs. This goes up, this goes down, down, up. The darker lines go up, and the grayer lines go down. So both the arms are folded. The underside is folded here. Check over your body, your G tab, the A and B, the left leg, right leg, and these two gray lines along the front are folded. Before you, next step, glue. I'm going to start with this one that says left body right here. Put glue along that tab, maybe 2 or 3 dots. Spread it out thin, only across the tab, not onto the arm. Then I'm going to take this torso, and that one says left side body because of this demo one, but yours is obviously just going to be a drawing. So I'm going to take that and glue it on there the same length, and hold that just on that tab here. There should be a B right next to it. Then I'm going to look at this B. I know you would normally start with A, but it doesn't matter whether you do A or B first. I'm going to put a dotted glue onto B here, and I'm going to look at this B shape here. Now this is very important that you match up the angle. So this B comes to a little triangle point, and I'm going to match up the exact same triangle point here. So you can see it goes right on top, and I'm going to press and hold here. Okay. Now the other side. This is going to say right body. A little bit of glue across here. Then now this right side body that's next to the A tab, it's going to get glued on here. And then now A is going to glue on to A. So the A is going to go on the little tab here, that little tab there. And then when you bring this A, you need to match up that triangle point. It should take the same shape. So it can't glue on at any funny angle like this or like this. You need to match up. They're cut at a funny angle so that you match them up. And that is finished for now. So it's missing the legs. Each of the legs are going to slide onto these 2 spaces here. But the rest of this, the arms are all bent out into shape, hands are up, And the B tab is glued under B, and the A tab is glued here under A. With the head finished and the torso, arms, back, and bottom finished, this is set aside, and you're working with legs now. Remove the legs from the rest of the paper, and then you can begin cutting them out. Again, you're cutting on the black lines, and you need to make sure on this one that you're getting really good in this corner. This is especially good to cut out. Don't leave any white on. If anything, you could trim a little bit of the extra black off when it comes to that top of the leg right in here. And I will do the same thing to the other leg. Okay, so 2 legs finished. They are mirror images of each other. The inside, the top, the outside is the shorter one. Bottoms down here have the star tabs next to them. And they have C, D, E, and F. That is to help you with which leg they're going to glue onto the body. So next thing is to fold. These are all gray lines. None of them are the darker gray lines. They're the lighter gray, which means everything gets folded down. Okay, so both of these are folded. Again, make sure you have really clean areas in here. Leave no white paper on. If anything, cut a little bit extra of that black off. Make sure you're cutting really good so these tabs are easy to fold and that you're actually folding right there on that gray line. So next thing is to glue the star tabs. So it doesn't matter which leg you start with at all. I'm going to put glue on this 3-star tab here. The glue's not working. It might be some dried over the tip. So I'll try again. There we go. Glue on that 3-star tab, spread it out across that whole tab. And it's going to slide in here and glue under the leg here. Press and hold for about 20 seconds. 2-star tab. Gets glue, that's going to slide under the outside of the foot. Then that gets set aside. Other leg. Okay, so that's the 2 legs, the top, the insides, and the outside. Now if you don't have the labels on there, so if you don't know which one the inside, which one the outside is, that's what these letters are for. So next thing is to add the legs onto the feet. So the head goes on last because you have to move the G tab out of the way, and you're actually going to have to put your finger down in here. I can start with either leg first. I'm going to start with the right leg, and I look underneath the right leg. Here it says E and F. So that means I need the leg E and F. Those are going to match up, E and E, F and F. So I'm going to put glue on this right leg tab here. Actually, before I even start that, you're going to need to slide this on and check that it fits. If you put this on and it's having a hard time, we need to trim this tab up more, or you need to trim this up better. A lot of people can't get this leg on, it gets kind of stuck. So if it slides on just fine, awesome. If not, trim it up. Come see me if you need help. Dotted glue here on that right leg tab. And then that top of the leg is going to slide on, and from the inside, my finger is here on the inside, and I'm going to press up with my pointer finger and down with my thumb, holding that tab to the top inside of the thigh. Then I'm going to flip it under. Here it says E and F. E is going to go onto E, F onto F. Dotted glue on each of those. I put glue on the leg, and then I hold it onto the body here. Now, same thing with those other tabs. They are cut at these angles to match. So I'm going to slide E over and get that to be a nice clean line along here. And then F is going to glue under, and I'm going to hold it from the inside of the leg here, matching up that perfect angle right there. So that's one leg. The other should match up C and D. And before I even put glue on, I'm going to slide it on, make sure it fits, and it does. So I'll put glue on that left leg tab first. Put my finger in. Hold my finger out here so I can press the tab. My pointer finger, it's kind of hard to see, but my pointer finger is here on the inside, and my thumb, they're pinching together to hold that tab to the top of the thigh right here. Then I have C and D. Glue goes on the letters on the leg, and it's going to match up. D needs to match up under D, following that same angle. And then C is going to glue under C. So my finger is right here. The legs are hollow so that you can hold your hand on the inside here. And that's finished. So the last tab is G. We've already done A and B, C, D, E, F. Now we have G. So for this, you're going to glue the two letters G together. So I'm going to put a dot of glue here on one of those two tabs. I'll go with this one. And I'm going to put the head down here in the lap. I'm going to match up those little trapezoid shapes, holding those two tabs together from the inside like this. When the head goes back, you shouldn't see the G tab sticking out right here. It should be hidden here on the inside. That's why their heads are floppy. Everybody's always like, is this broken? Why is this hanging forward? That's just how you glue those two together, is holding them on here, and then it slides back and he's got his head on. Last thing to do once all of this is finished is to work on your extensions. Now I just have two little random example extensions here, ears and a tail. I only cut out one, or if it's a set of things, two things at a time. So I'm not going to cut out a big pile of extensions. They're easier to get lost that way. So I'll keep them all attached to my paper so nothing gets misplaced. And when it's time to glue together, I will just work on, for instance, the ears first. Now this is a white paper toy. It would normally have color on the back. The ear lines are only on the front. They're not on the back. I actually didn't do anything on the back of these. The tabs are best to get folded behind the paper toy. And then glue goes on that tab. And then it gets glued into place. So then the tab should be colored in to blend in with what it's getting glued onto. My other tab, the tab gets folded behind. It looks better than it sticking out forward. Glue goes on that tab. And hold that one on. If there was color to this, I would want the color again to blend in with what it was getting glued onto. So there's some little ears for him. And the last thing I have is this little tail. Anything that gets glued down into the hand, a spur off the boot, a dress, or in this case a tail, it does not need to be colored on the back. That is the one type of extension that you don't need to flip it over and see anything. That's just the underside of the project. So it would be okay if there was no color on the back side of this tail, unlike if it was something that were to stick out. And then I could just press and hold it here to the underside. If I wanted this tail to stick out this way, I would have to do something a little different with folding and coloring both sides. But this tail is meant to lay flat.